My unfaithful wife forgot to lock her phone. What I uncovered made me vanish without leaving a trace. I'm a hydrogeologist by profession. My entire career is about tracking hidden contamination beneath the ground, pollution that quietly spreads and poisons everything around it. The cruel irony is that I failed to recognize the poison seeping into my own marriage until it was too late. But once I finally saw it for what it was, I didn't break down. I didn't scream. I did exactly what I'm trained to do: contain the threat, record the damage, and eliminate the source. October 3rd, 10:47 p.m., that was the turning point. Sonia had just returned from what she claimed was inventory night at the restaurant. She worked as a sommelier, or at least she used to. She headed straight into the shower, leaving her phone on the kitchen counter. No charger, no lock screen, just sitting there, wide open. I wasn't searching for anything. I was reaching for my work tablet when her phone buzzed. A text preview flashed across the screen. "Can't stop thinking about this afternoon. You taste better than any vintage." It was from someone saved under Dustin. Wine, Diest. My hands stayed steady. My heartbeat never spiked. I picked up the phone with the same calm precision I use when collecting groundwater samples from contaminated wells. What I pieced together over the next 20 minutes was undeniable proof of a 7-week affair. Photos. Videos. In our bed. On our couch. Using the wedding gift wine glasses. The messages stung more than the images. She gossiped about my projects, my work schedule, even my grandmother's recent death. She mocked my dedication to soil and water, calling me boring and predictable, too consumed by my career to notice anything. But she was wrong about me being blind. Dustin wasn't a wine distributor. A quick search showed he was a freelance photojournalist specializing in environmental exposés. They'd met while he was covering sustainable wineries. And from the messages, I realized he had been milking her for inside information about my EPA contacts and my contamination case that threatened to shut down a major industry. I placed her phone back exactly where it had been, at the same angle, as though I had never touched it. Then I walked into my office and started planning. In my work, panic is the enemy. You don't lose control when benzene shows up in groundwater. You document, evaluate, isolate, remediate. This wasn't any different. First step, preserve the evidence. I waited until she was asleep. She always drank too much wine after those inventory nights. Then I retrieve her phone again. Every photo, every text, every video was carefully screenshotted and uploaded to 3 different cloud accounts. Copies went straight to my brother, a family lawyer in another state. The metadata in the photos was especially damning. Every timestamp matched perfectly with the times I was away at remote assessment sites. The moment I pulled out of the driveway, she was letting him in. October 4th, Friday. I acted as though everything was normal. Kissed her goodbye for exactly 3 seconds, just like always. She said she had a certification class over the weekend. I lied too, telling her I'd be at Riverside for soil sampling. Instead, I drove to the credit union and emptied our joint investment account, perfectly legal, since either of us could withdraw without permission. $47,000 went straight into an account she knew nothing about. Then I opened a safety deposit box for my grandmother's jewelry, something Sonia had been eyeing since the funeral. That afternoon, I met with Fletcher Hoffman, the divorce attorney my brother recommended. He had the look of someone who thrived on other people's misery. When I handed over the evidence, he smiled, a predator's grin. "Infidelity clause in your prenup," he said, tapping the paperwork. She insisted on it. "Thought you'd be the liability. This will be surgical." That evening, I came home with flowers. Sonia squealed with delight and plastered it all over Instagram with some shallow caption about romance. I grilled salmon, opened a $200 bottle of wine she'd been saving, and slept with her that night. I wanted her to hold on to the memory, the last time she'd ever feel secure. October 5th, Saturday. She left at 9 a.m. for her so-called certification class. I had 4 hours. At 9:30, the moving company arrived. Weeks earlier, during my documentation phase, I'd marked every item that was mine with discrete colors. My clothes, my gear, family furniture, my books, half the kitchenware I brought into the marriage. By 1 p.m., The place looked like someone had carved me out of it. I changed the locks myself. Thank you, YouTube. Reset the garage code. Removed her from my life insurance, retirement accounts, and emergency contacts. Canceled the joint credit cards, leaving only the ones under her name. Switched my phone to a new carrier with a brand new number. At 1:30, my scheduled emails went out. The first to her restaurant management, complete with spreadsheets from her texts about stealing bottles for their trysts. Maybe $2,000 in missing stock, but enough to matter. The second to the Court of Master Sommeliers, exposing how she'd shared confidential exam information with Dustin in exchange for his help cheating on her advanced certification. The third to her parents, with full evidence of the affair, timed to arrive Monday morning. They had co-signed her culinary school loans. They deserved to see the result of their investment. At 2 p.m., the divorce petition was filed electronically. Hoffman worked overtime to make sure it was processed that same Saturday. In my state, I could file quietly and have her served within 48 hours. Then I walked away. No letter, no explanation. Nothing. I drove 800 miles to a colleague's field station where I had arranged a legitimate environmental study. Phone off. Unreachable. Just another contamination specialist doing his job. Update 1. The blast radius. 3 days later, my lawyer called. Sonia had contacted the police. When she came home from her tryst with Dustin, she found half the house stripped, the locks changed, and her finances frozen. Instead of guilt, her first reaction was panic. She thought something had happened to me. Police found nothing criminal. A husband leaving with his own belongings isn't a crime. Hoffman had already briefed them about the divorce filing and confirmed I was alive and working out of state. They told her it was a civil issue. The scheduled emails detonated Monday morning while she was at work, trying to pretend nothing was wrong. At 11 a.m., her manager confronted her with security footage of her sneaking out bottles. She tried denial, then excuses, then justification. They fired her on the spot and reminded her she was lucky they weren't pressing charges. The sommelier world is tiny and merciless. Word spread within hours. By noon, her parents called. Her father asked if it was true. When she admitted it, he hung up without another word. Her mother just cried. They didn't disown her, but the disappointment was worse than fury. That afternoon, she received notice from the Court of Master Sommeliers, suspended pending investigation. 3 years of work toward certification gone. And Dustin, the investigative journalist who thought he was clever? He got slapped with a cease and desist from my company's legal team. Using pillow talk to extract EPA intel is called corporate espionage. His editor dropped him within the week. He tried reaching out to Sonia, but by then she was radioactive. He blocked her number. She tried contesting the divorce, claiming abandonment. Hoffman crushed that argument with a prenup clause and my compiled evidence. She even argued the investment account was half hers. Technically, she could argue for half the money, except she'd have to explain why she deserved half of what she'd been blowing on hotel rooms with another man. Her attorney, a bargain bin lawyer she could barely afford, told her to cut her losses, take the car, still with 2 years of payments left, gather her personal belongings, and move on. At first, she refused. She was certain she could win sympathy. That's when I played my final card. Turns out Dustin had secretly recorded some of their encounters without her knowledge. I learned this through my company's investigation into his failed attempt at corporate espionage. On his cloud drive, there were videos he'd planned to use as leverage if necessary. My company's lawyers legally obtained them during discovery. I never had to release them. I didn't need to. The mere fact that they existed, that her degradation was permanently stored on a server somewhere, shattered something inside her. She signed the papers. Update 2. The aftermath. I'm writing this from my new office, 1,200 miles away from the house we once shared. I'm now head of environmental assessment for the Western Division. That promotion came through after my work at the Riverside site exposed contamination that prevented what could have been a billion-dollar cleanup. Amazing how much clearer your mind is when you're no longer tied to a failing marriage. Sonia, meanwhile, landed an assistant manager job at a chain restaurant. No sommelier expertise required, just scheduling and inventory. She's back living with her parents in her childhood bedroom. I know this only because her mother reached out to apologize for raising someone who could betray me like that. I told her it wasn't her fault. We haven't spoken since. The house sold quickly, hot market, and I'd kept it in excellent shape. Sonia tried claiming she deserved half the equity, but the infidelity clause in our prenup shut that down immediately. Between that payout and the inheritance from my grandmother's estate, finally cleared through probate, I was set up comfortably in my new city. Here's the twist. During divorce discovery, Hoffman uncovered emails between Sonia and Dustin. They'd been plotting to wait until my grandmother's inheritance hit our joint account. Then she'd file for divorce, crying emotional neglect, while Dustin published an exposé full of lies about my company, spun from her half-baked understanding of my work. They thought they'd ride off together with my money and her victim narrative. They underestimated me. Dustin is now drowning in lawsuits. My company's case for attempted corporate espionage, an EPA lawsuit for interfering in federal investigations, and defamation claims from 2 publishers who discovered he fabricated sources in past stories. His journalism career is finished. Last I heard, he was working in a print shop. Some mutual acquaintances tried reaching out, asking for my side. I told them simply, she cheated, I left, we divorced. No drama, no details. The ones who pressed for more got blocked. The ones who respected my boundaries stayed friends. Natural selection. My brother once asked if I felt anything: anger, grief, vindication. I told him the truth. I felt clean. Like I had decontaminated a site and could finally label it safe for future use. Update 3. 6 months later, final update. This will be my last entry. I'm closing the book on this chapter. Yesterday, after 6 months of silence, Sonia emailed me. I'll share it here, untouched except for names. Hector, I know you'll probably delete this without reading, but I need to say it. I destroyed everything. I threw away 7 years for nothing. Dustin used me to get to you, and I was too blind and selfish to see it. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just want you to know I finally understand what I lost. You were building a future, and I was tearing it apart. The dinner, the wine, the flowers, I know now that was your goodbye. That haunts me more than anything. You could have screamed, thrown things, made a scene. Instead, you just removed me, like contamination. I work at Applebee's now. I see couples sharing wine I can't even pronounce anymore and think about what I destroyed. I'm in therapy, not for you, but to understand why I ruined what we had. I hope you're happy in your new life. Truly. Sonia. I read it once, then deleted it. No reply. No closure needed. Today, my work spans contamination sites across 3 states. I'm developing new assessment protocols that could reshape how groundwater pollution is managed. My research is being published in journals I once only dreamed of. I'm dating someone new, a geological engineer named Nora. She understands soil samples, respects boundaries, and knows my full history. I told her everything on our 4th date. She appreciated the honesty. We're taking things slow, building on solid ground. The contamination metaphor hasn't been lost on me. In my field, there's a process called monitored natural attenuation. You contain the contamination, then let time and nature heal it. That's what I did with my marriage. I didn't try to fix it or negotiate with it. I contained it, removed myself, and let the consequences unfold. Some call my actions heartless. They're wrong. It takes heart to love someone for 7 years. It takes heartbreak to face betrayal. But it takes something else entirely to respond with strategy instead of rage, calculation instead of chaos. I didn't shatter when I saw those messages. I adapted. I learned to treat emotional contamination just like chemical contamination, clinically, strategically, without mercy. Sonia thought she was married to a dull man obsessed with dirt and water. In reality, she was married to someone who understands that the most lethal contaminations are the invisible ones, spreading silently beneath the surface until someone with the right expertise uncovers them. I am that expert, and I am very, very good at my job. Edit. For those asking, yes, the prenup was airtight. She wanted it, thinking she'd out-earn me someday with her sommelier career. No, I don't regret handling things coldly. Emotional outbursts are for people who didn't spend 7 years building something, only to watch someone else torch it. Yes, I'm in therapy too, not because I'm broken, but because maintaining this level of control takes upkeep, like any finely tuned instrument. The inheritance from my grandmother was significant, mid-six figures. Sonia knew it was coming. The timing of her affair, right after my grandmother's death, was no coincidence. As for Dustin, his lawsuits are ongoing. Corporate espionage isn't something my company takes lightly. Criminal charges are still possible. Final thoughts. Someone asked if I won. That's the wrong lens. This wasn't a competition. It was remediation. You don't win against toxic waste. You identify it, document it, contain it, and remove it. Then you monitor the site to ensure it stays clean. My site is clean now. The contamination is gone. The source eliminated. The documentation complete. And I'm building something new on ground I know is solid. That's not victory. That's just good science. If you or someone you know is struggling with infidelity, please seek professional help. This story is just one experience and shouldn't be taken as advice. Thank you for staying with me until the end. If you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe. Wishing you all a good day.